Greetings and salutations and welcome once again to the Capeless Crusaders live from Empire's Comics Vault. Hey! Let's just get group woo. My name is David Barry at Dr. Barry on varying social media platforms, listening to nothing but Led Zeppelin since I saw Thor. Just constant, every album on repeat.
All the Led Zeppelin.
All the Led Zeppelin. Joining me, we're a twofer.
A couple?
Sure. Our deputy crusader.
Promoted from junior?
Whatever.
Gritty! Oh! Ooh, I'm not sure.
I like that you work on your sticks.
I don't know how he does that every single time. That he does a really great Dark Side impression.
Yeah.
My name is Manderson, at this Manderson, which, fun fact, is actually this is squished in one word, this Manderson on the Twitter, and that's it.
Wait. What?
This was too long, so I just went this, and it's actually this is Manderson.
Did you know now you can do 50 characters? Like, so you're like at has to say the same, but you can do 50 characters in your name.
Oh.
Because that's what Twitter needed.
More
50 characters in the name, 280 characters in your tweets, not blocking racists. That's not what they need.
I refuse to go past 140. If I hit 140, I start doing
Stop.
characters.
You're like, that's
done. No,
I'm old school.
OG Twitter.
Old school Twitter. Speaking of Twitter and any other social media platform, you can find anything related to the Capeless Crusaders at thecapelesscrusaders.com. That is your central hub. You can find everything related. You can find our articles, our blogs, other things.
Twitch channel?
Our Twitch channel.
I watched you play some Hearthstone.
Yeah.
It made me re-download the app.
I was okay.
I played it twice.
Yeah.
And I stopped again.
I did all right. Yeah,
you
can
did.
Find our
You won one of the two games.
One of the two?
I watched 2 games.
Oh, okay, I was about to say, I'm like, that's pretty much all I want.
And then my son was confused. He thought you were me.
We look similar.
We're twins.
Literally, if you look at the feed right now, I am twice the size of you. Yes, you can find our Twitch stream, which is twitch.tv/thecapelesscrusaders. We go on there, we play games. Amy watches movies she's never seen before.
On Twitch?
She does. So she can't actually watch the movies, which is kind of defeats the purpose. However, they have a copyright thing. But she watches and has has conversations with people as she reacts to movies that were like, how have you never seen?
Okay.
It's a list, like a 200 movie list. And it's sad. It's like Predator, Terminator, Godfather, like any classic movie.
All
and
the
also
movies that we should have seen.
Citizen Kane, Rambo.
I haven't seen
Rocky.
Citizen Kane. It's on my list now. I'm sorry.
Well, you could join Amy and you can watch it and react to it. But yeah, she can't actually show the movie itself because that violates their policy, whatever. And our website and our entire show is actually sponsored in part by Computer Booter, which is a local Sacramento mobile device repair, computer repair, retro game lounge, and sales place.
Which is my favorite part of it.
Yes. Yeah. You've actually, Curtis has done some live streams from there. It's actually really entertaining. Yeah. It's super cool. So on this week's episode, we are going to go around the horn, which is going to be super impressive with just two of us. It's just,
even if we had a round table,
it's more of just a volley. It's just a volley, the horn. We're also going to talk about some news, which there is a ton. So that's actually going to be the bulk of the show, is all the news items that we're going to be talking about.
The News Monkey got an assistant this week.
News Monkey is back from rehab. He's doing well. He's hired a team of capuchins.
Kicked
those bananas. It is now on a strict high protein. He's in the keto diet, actually. Things are going really well for him. He's like ripped out of his mind. He's actually evolving towards an orangutan.
Oh.
It's weird. It's like a Pokemon. So when we're in a comic book store, specifically this comic book store, surrounded by these comic books, we like to go round the horn. I hate it. I thought it was just going to be dead silent because no one was here to do the stupid horn.
I couldn't let it go.
We rallied the two people in the audience to do that. When we go around the horn, we go around the table in a circular fashion, except, well, like you said, we no longer have a circular table. We have not had a circular table for a very long time. But we go around the horn, we talk about what comic books we've been reading this week.
Oh.
So, Manderson.
That's news to me.
Well, you were supposed to prepare a couple.
Oh, good, I did.
So, thankfully, what did you read this week? Take it away.
I've read issues 1, 2, and 3 of Union Street Choir, which is written by our very own Ben Schwartz. And
of Empire's
Comics, who owns the Empire's Comics, and it is drawn by Newligan. I don't know his real name. It's on the comic, but I don't know it. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. It's basically about this gang of guys. They'll have cool nicknames, none of which I can remember except for Knuckles, who's a big bruiser.
Yeah, Knuckles is my favorite.
And Rolly's in it. Is that the dog's name?
Yeah.
Rolly, he's in there as well. Oh, Sourdough hangs out with Rolly.
Yeah.
That's the name of that guy. And basically, the first issue, they encounter another gang called the Kings. They have a full name. I'm really bad at this. I don't want to give too much away as well. You should pick it up. It's really good. I got done with the first issue and was like, I need the second and third right now. And then I came about the second, and the next day came back and bought the third. And
Nice.
I hear rumor that the fourth one is in the works.
It is in the works through Bootleg Pub, which is their publication company. And you should always support local creators.
You should,
Shop
yeah.
local. There's a whole wall over there of local creators.
Yeah, it's really well written. It feels very much like in an older style of storytelling, in a really fun, creative way. It's fantastic. You should pick it up. I just stole your word.
Wait, which word?
Fantastic.
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 You got it. Fantastic.
It is fantastic.
You got to hit the ta.
I'll work on that.
Thanks, man.
The second one I read was surprise, Superman.
Oh.
It was
I thought
actually
it was going to actually be a
no,
surprise.
it's not a surprise. If anybody knows me, I'm a huge Superman fan. It was the latest Action Comics, which finished up the Mr. Oz arc, which was revealed with spoiler alerts. Mr. Oz was Jor-El, his father, and Superman frees him from the clutches of the mystery man, who we all know who is, and it sets up the next story arc, which is the Doomsday Clock.
Wait, who's the mystery man?
I'm pretty sure it's Dr. Manhattan.
So I thought that Mr. Oz
Was Mr. Manhattan?
No, I thought it was Ozymandias because that seemed like the obvious like Oz, and I thought that's how they were going to tie it in, but they didn't.
That is not what they did.
Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan.
What?
Mr. Oz was Jor-El.
Right, and then the
And
mystery
it
man
is because they both disappear into like a blue flurry, and there's like blue fingers in it.
and there's just a big hanging blue appendage.
Sure.
Leg. Yes.
There were not toes. Feet are gross. Stop it. David, what did you read this week?
Let's woo.
Oh, I also read Squirrel Girl, but I'm not going to talk about it.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So I read a couple books. I actually, for those of you keeping score at home, I went through and I listed the number of books that I read, the number of titles that come out monthly that I read. It is, I found it is over 112 titles.
Wow.
So
I read maybe 40.
yeah, dude, it's
slacking.
I'm like counting and I'm like, that's not possible. And then I realized it was.
It was.
So two things that I read this week, not from Marvel.
Oh, that's surprising.
That is
Yeah.
legitimately surprising. So I read Batman Lost, which is the one-shot tie-in to the Dark Knight's Metal that focuses on Bruce Wayne being trapped in the dark multiverse.
Because we haven't seen him really since he got sucked in.
Exactly. We just saw him like stuck in that battery, big battery of bodies, and we don't know what's happening. So I don't want to give too much away because it's really easy to spoil, and it's really well done. Snyder is writing it, and I believe Tinian. I believe Tinian is how you pronounce his last name. He's the one drawing it. So the art is beautiful.
Tanayan?
I
don't know.
And it's really cool because it's almost like what's going on in Batman's head. It's like how they're keeping him trapped, and he's an old man and he's reading to his granddaughter and he's reading her favorite Batman stories, and basically like he thinks something's wrong with the stories. He's like, this isn't how it worked, and she's like, no, that's the way it works, Grandpa. Like you just keep forgetting, and it's him being stuck in this loop and reliving these stories, and that's how they basically get him. Like I said, like lock him up in there, and he has a re-experience, and it ties into Grant Morrison's run. It ties in New 52. It does a really good job of explaining all these breadcrumbs that Snyder has picked up in order to create the Dark Knight's Metal story. So it's super well done, and I really enjoyed the one-shots. I think the one-shots are really solid. The other thing that I read is, of course, from Image, because Image is the best.
They are, yeah.
They're just Marvel and DC. I love you.
I would drop reading all those titles for an
Image is
title.
the best.
Yeah.
Image is so good. So the book that I read was Port of Earth. It's just came out, issue number 1. Port of Earth is basically it's about first contact with aliens. But that first contact, they don't come in peace, they don't come in war, they come in the name of business. They come in the name of industry.
Are they like Ferengi?
Basically, it's like a huge conglomeration that basically acts kind of like Ferengi.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, big nerd. And
That's why you have me here.
100%. And it's really cool because it's basically these aliens, they don't care about us at all, except for the fact that their ships run on water. And they need a port to refuel at when they're on their way, like on their missions. And we have a ton of water, and they don't have to use a lot of it. So basically, in exchange to like help with like all of our power issues, all of our financial woes, like all the issues the world's experience, they put this port out in the middle of the ocean, and their ships land and take some of our water and then go on their way. And it's just that's the way like it is now. And I'm like, this is a really interesting concept. Yeah. But what the story focuses on is the security force, whose job it is to prevent aliens from leaving the port, because the aliens are not supposed to interact with humans. They're not supposed. They're just there to refuel and then go. But some aliens like stow away on ships, and some just wander out and they start killing people. And where there's a security force who it's their job to stop these aliens. But it's much more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's much darker than that. It's not just. It's much more sinister what's happening. And then the issue ends. So I really enjoyed it. The artwork is great. It's really it's a completely new concept to me. Like I've never heard of anything like this before. So if you're a big fan of sci-fi, I think you should check it out. It's a really good book.
I will.
You will. I appreciate you taking my advice. So that about wraps it up for Around the Horn. Now, like I said, we got some news coming up for all of you. A ton of news, lots of comic book news. Today, last week, a couple days ago, it's all over the place.
Tomorrow?
Possibly tomorrow.
Okay.
The News Monkey has he is working on Time Machine, so that he can go forward. He can find out who's leaving Marvel to go to DC next, and then come back and warn us. So then we're not surprised. We're just like,
okay, we knew that.
Yeah, we knew Stan Lee was going to go work for DC any day now. Like it was just a matter of time. Thank you, News Monkey.
You think that's going to happen?
He doesn't even work for Marvel anymore. He's working on his own indie stuff.
He's going to start showing up in all the DC movies too.
I would be okay with that. I would be okay if it was just a nod to the fact that he is like at this point the grandfather of all comic books. Yeah. If he was just like popping up, like Superman just flies away and all of a sudden there's a mailman just like, and it's Stan Lee. I'd be okay with it. So first off, we're going to talk about Thor Ragnarok, which you're very familiar with, right? You've seen it multiple times. You've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've seen it
stuck
once
around
a day
for both the after credit scenes.
There's a secret third one that nobody knew. No.
You've seen it so much. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry.
I've seen it twice. I love it. I had so much fun with it. I think you should go see it. I'm not gonna try to spoil anything in this little bit.
I will see it. Right, sweet. We're gonna go see it.
Yeah.
Your
wife is over there with your two kids being like, yeah, let's go to a movie, Dad. I think it'll be great.
Maybe Avia will come. Yeah. Can I, real quick?
Yes.
Out of the three Thors, is
easily
this
top.
Best one?
Best
okay,
one.
All right.
So I liked the first one. To me was fun. I loved that the first one established the character. The second one, a lot of people love to hate. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed it. I did not hate it. It wasn't like, oh wow, like it didn't break any of my it didn't break the mold or anything. But this one it took it to another level. Primarily, and this is totally related. In an interview, Chris Hemsworth basically said that Kevin Smith, who is the voice of fandom at this point, pretty much said he kind of talked some crap about the first two Thor movies, and he was talking about how it wasn't really his favorite character. They weren't really handling it well, and Chris Hemsworth took that to heart because Chris Hemsworth was kind of over the character. He was ready to almost call it quits, and so that kind of kick in the pants from Kevin Smith, like I said, the voice, the Silent Bob, the silent voice of nerds, pretty much Hemsworth at that point was like, Kevin Smith doesn't think I'm doing Thor very well. We need to change it. And that's why they made huge, sweeping changes to the character. Like at his core, he's the same, but obviously, from the trailer, he cuts his hair and he loses his hammer. That's not a spoiler.
No, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that happens in the trailer.
From what I've seen, loses hammer.
Yes.
Gets captured.
Yes.
Cuts hair.
Yes.
Meets his work buddy, a.k.a. Hulk.
Yeah.
Creates the Revengers.
Yeah.
They save the day.
Yeah, it's pretty okay. Yeah, so I don't. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything then because you just spoiled it. That's the base of the movie.
Goodbye, is Loki in it?
Loki's in it.
Oh, spoiler!
Spoiler. And actually, my favorite part about the whole thing was that Taika Waititi, the director, he was actually 4 characters in the movie.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
That's fun.
He was when they had to do stand-in, like reshoot stuff for the Hulk, he stood in for the Hulk. So I imagine that was him just standing there like flexing and then yelling and then running around just so you could be like, okay, CG him in there. There's a two-headed or three-headed ogre-like creature. He's one of the heads.
Okay.
Of the three-headed ogre beast, he's one of the heads.
So he's not a noticeable character. He just stands.
There's
for
one
CG?
that he is
Okay,
noticeable.
all right.
Korg, who is the stone creature. He actually originally was just kind of going to stand in, and he was just going to talk to Hemsworth, like talk over some of the lines. And they love what he did so much because he's just this giant rock gladiator who talks just like the most chill, like New Zealand dude ever. Like he's just like, "Hey man," I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna get on that shit." And you're like, I love it. Like I love when he just comes in, when he like blows someone away, and he's just like, "Hey man," like I'm all it's so good. It's so much fun. That's the thing. If you're looking for like a serious, like dark comic book movie, I mean, Justice League comes out, so whatever. But
we'll get our contrast.
yeah, but Thor
That's
was
what
just,
I really want in a movie.
Thor was just all fun. It was all fun. Like there was no. I mean, there was some serious parts to it, but I thought it was a great nod to Simonson, to Kirby, just the bright, over the top, like huge figure, larger than life figures, larger than life characters. I thought it was a ton of fun. I put it actually in my top 3 of Marvel movies.
Really?
It worked its way up there. A lot of people they look at me like I'm crazy because they think it's like top 5 or top 10. I just seriously enjoyed it.
Top 3. What's number 1?
Winter Soldier,
2.
Avengers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, but like number 4. There's like 6 movies tied for number 4. So it's not, it's like, it doesn't take a lot. You just kind of, you wiggle your way up and then it's just like Iron Man and all of them.
Okay. I'll ask you that next podcast.
Yeah, man. Sounds good.
Yeah. We'll be here a while otherwise. Yeah. We have more news to talk about.
Yes. So the news part about Thor is basically just some numbers.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause, you know, we used to have number guys. None of them are here. But so far, the movie has earned $154 million domestic.
That sounds good.
That is pretty good?
Okay.
That is pretty good.
All right.
Foreign, it's made $354
Oh,
million.
see, that sounds really good.
Yeah. So
What was
total
its budget?
worldwide is $509,389. Blah blah blah. Its budget, that would have been helpful for me to know. Why
Sorry,
isn't it
I
on
shouldn't
here?
have asked the question.
No, man, you're good. That usually is like right here on this website that I use. I'm not even going to name the website. I'm not even going to name drop it.
Because it's not doing a good job right
Yes,
now.
but I can tell you it definitely it made it
blew
budget back.
If it had a
A
budget
little
that
bit.
big, yeah.
Yeah,
that's big.
it's doing pretty well. It got a couple, like the 6th highest opening weekend movie in November. Like, those stupid facts that you're just like, okay, that's way too specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's doing well. It's going to continue to do well. There's rumor that it might get a 4th just because it's doing so well. I don't know if Hemsworth wants to do it, but Taika Waititi is like, I already got an opening scene for the next one.
There are other Thors that we could possibly
There are
bring
so
in.
many other Thors, except for this weird thing they do with the hammer that kind of makes it seem like there can't be other Thors. I'm not going to spoil that for you.
Oh, okay. Because I really wanted Thor, Jane Foster Thor.
I would be totally down with that.
would be,
And
yeah.
my concern is it might not be possible in the movie universe. In other news,
So sad.
this has come in and out of the comic, the forums and the websites, and there's hush talks and there's big booming articles about the supposed takeover of I can't remember if it's 20th or 21st Century Fox at this point. 21st Century Fox. Thank you, everyone. Disney is interested in buying like a massive chunk of the company, basically the production side,
Wow.
in order to give them, like I said, 21st Century Fox would now be under Disney. So apparently these talks were happening, then they weren't happening, now they're happening again. We don't actually know if they're happening.
So if this happens,
Yes.
what does that mean for anything comic book related?
That is the question, because comics are what we talk about.
That's what we're here for.
On the Capeless Crusaders. It would mean that the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, 2 of the biggest franchises that have ever existed, would all be under Disney Marvel.
Okay.
So,
Which could be good.
Which could be good. In my opinion, I would be more excited for what's the word I'm looking for?
I've never known the word. Is it fantastic?
That has nothing to do. Oh, actually, no. It would not be. I wouldn't care so much about like the Fantastic Four. I'd care about like the auxiliary characters that come with the Fantastic Four, because there's a lot of like races and specific villains that, because they fall under the Fantastic Four umbrella, they can't touch them.
Gotcha. Like Galactus?
Yeah, Galactus. For example, on the other side, X-Men, the Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, they had to be created.
Yeah.
They were like manufactured in the Marvel universe as opposed to being mutants. They can't use the term mutants
At all, right.
But because they were under the Avengers umbrella, Marvel Studios had the rights to them. So it's like I think a lot of the stuff around the peripherals, a lot of the extra characters, a lot of the extra races
Could be packed in.
Exactly. They would all be associated with that.
Open up the storytelling.
Exactly, Manderson. You know where I'm going for. It would be so much more than just another Fantastic Four movie. So much more than just another X-Men movie.
Do you think they'd try that again?
I think they'd have to.
As Steve's, if you're watching, I think they would try that again. And I hope that they do.
Why is that directed at Steve's?
Because he gave a rant last time I was on about it.
Oh yeah, he did. Okay, so I feel like I think they would. I think it would probably be. They'd probably do it well. That's the thing. They would do it.
Yes.
They would do it well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want to see it. Not in a. I'm not interested in those characters. I'm not interested in what Disney's doing. I just don't know if I care about them anymore.
Because of what Fox did?
Not even because of what Fox is doing. Because of the comics too. Like I got bored with the Fantastic Four. I like that they've been gone. I like that the comics right now are hinting at them coming back. I like that they've been gone. I like that they weren't in the forefront.
Yeah.
You know, I like that Mr. Fantastic isn't just screwing everything up like he always does, including his relationships, and just being a terrible dad. You are a wonderful dad. Reed Richards could learn from you.
All right, I'll give him a ring.
Appreciate that.
Do you have his phone number?
I do.
Okay.
It's a bunch of force. And then, like I said, the X-Men, the X-Men universe would also be involved, which again, I would care about like the peripheral, like those like weird, like off the cuff, like strange, creations from Jim Lee and Grant Morrison, like, they're weird Zorn and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't care so much about Magneto and Professor X and Wolverine. Obviously, I'd be totally down with Wolverine because let's be serious.
Hugh Jackman?
No, I wouldn't be Hugh Jackman. They would recast him because
Oh.
Hugh Jackman said he's done because of skin cancer. I pointed at my nose because it was specifically on his nose.
Oh,
That's
right.
what he was. He kept getting get chunks cut off his face.
Oh.
Is that news to you? So
We're
Manderson,
talking about news. So.
if this did happen, what would you want to see? Was there anything you would want to see? Would you care?
I think so, a little bit. Silver Surfer.
Oh, good call.
I don't know a whole lot about the Silver Surfer, but my dad is a big Silver Surfer fan. He had Silver Surfer #1 back in the day.
Like
the #1.
Wow.
Yeah, he was kind of like I was as a kid. He was like, oh, comic books, and he just go buy one off of like the grocery store
Yeah.
thing. And he had some pretty old ones. I think my brother faux jacked him from my dad, so I didn't get him.
What's your brother's name?
His name is Steven.
Steven, if you're watching, which I know you are, is he the one in the military?
Yeah.
We're coming for you.
I am not coming for you. I know how this ends. I've tried it before.
You've never had me before, Manderson. I don't think. I'm trying to think of a witty name, like way, because you're Matthew Anderson, so it's Manderson. I'm trying to think of a Standerson.
He generally goes by Sanderson.
Sanderson.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Just give it back.
He's
man.
coming for you. I'll be behind him, just watching the mayhem.
Hey. Dude, Silver Surfer, I'd be totally down with, but like Silver Surfer not being tied to Galactus, like they could just do his own solo thing.
Yes.
Where he's just flying around being awesome.
I would like to. I mean, that's for Marvel because I'm a DC guy. I grew up more DC. Usually the movies get my interest, and then I find things that I like.
Yeah.
And so I've read a little bit of Silver Surfer here and there, but I think like getting that spotlight on him would really spark some interest in that character and hopefully bring him back because I want to see him in some of the stuff they're writing now. I think it would be really fun to see that.
He would have worked great because he was part of the whole like Planet Hulk storyline, which tied a lot into Thor Ragnarok. So he could have been in there, but too late now.
Yeah.
Have you read the most recent drawn by Michael Allred, written by Dan Slott Silver Surfer run?
I have not.
It just ended. Apparently, it was a very emotional ending. I was about 6 issues in when I fell off. It was really well done.
All right.
Not obviously it's one of those. Dan Slott. He's not going to be like a traditionalist, but I think you would enjoy it. So we don't know if this is actually going to happen. Everyone's like, oh, monopolies. And I'm like, when's the last time we enforced, we try to stop Singular from joining up with Pac Bell and AT&T? Like, we don't stop monopolies anymore. Like, we don't care. Corporations are the biggest people on the planet. And, but this is one of those ones I'd be totally fine with. Yeah. I'm like, monopolies are bad, but if I got,
okay.
if Wolverine could hang out with, they could do the fastball special, I might, let all my morals just go out the window.
Comics will do that to you.
Comics do that to you. They just bend and warp your view of the world. In other news, coming out.
Bending? No.
This.
Sorry.
Dang it, that would be a great
tried.
segue, but I don't want to talk about that yet. I wanted to talk about Punisher and Justice League because they are both coming out next week on the 17th, 18th.
17th for Justice League.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, 17th for both. Yeah, they're dropping at the
yeah.
same time. They're going to go head to head. So, which one are you more excited for? I know you're a big Frank Castle guy. You're big into white go-go boots. I've seen your white go-go boots. Don't lie to me.
Yeah, that's what I was for Halloween the past 10 years.
I know son of Manderson is someday those will be his white go-go boots.
They will be, yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting them resized for him actually next year. Anyway, actually Punisher was probably the first Marvel movie, like the first Punisher movie that I was really excited about and actually bought.
No way.
Yeah. And I didn't I had seen stuff about the Punisher. Again, I think either my dad or my brother had a Punisher lying around, and so I kind of knew. I thought he was he's like the Batman of Marvel. That's what I thought back in the day. He's not the Batman of Marvel. But when I saw the trailer, I'm like, this looks really good. I went and saw it in the theater. I think I actually saw it twice. I bought the movie, watched it a bunch. I think we lost it in a move, which means my wife probably lost it in a move.
On purpose.
Because she didn't like it. But it's on Netflix now, so it's
yeah,
fine.
it is.
So I'm excited for it.
Okay.
I'm excited for both in different ways because I feel like there's difference between this big giant movie that's going to be epic and it has all these big characters that we've only seen once together on screen, and it was a cheesy movie back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then there's The Punisher. It's going to be more drawn out, and there's going to be I like comic book shows more than comic book movies because I feel like comic books tend to be episodic when it comes to So that's real hard for me to say.
It needs the whole arc. Well, I mean,
yes.
and again, it's like you even just said, they're two completely different styles of story.
Yes.
You have a classic superhero story versus a very down to earth, gritty, realistic. Not really superhero. I mean, there are some kind of weird superpowers, but overall, it's mainly going to be just hyper violent machine gun.
It's stuff that could happen in real life.
Exactly. It would be terrifying if it did.
Yes.
But it could be real.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I like so much about those is that it's more down to earth. It's less grandiose and Hulks and Supermans and stuff like that. It's
true. It's true. I mean, if you watch the Justice League trailers, I have multiple times. It's not even that bad, but I just roll my eyes. I'm just like, oh, look, Jason Momoa being Jason Momoa with a trident, and then you got Ezra Miller just being just a fanboy about everything, and then Ben Affleck. Yeah, that's Ben Affleck. Who there's some people have shown some of the scenes that were reshot. It's like, can you tell the difference? And they show Ben Affleck, and I'm like, yeah, he let himself go before he did the reshoots. He's just his whole beard and his whole face is just like not as defined anymore. He's just got a little round, and he's like, oh crap, I have to go back in. I have to go back onto this diet. So
too much effort.
Too much effort for the Batfleck. I mean,
when I do reshoots, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I just stay the same.
you always look the same. You've had to reshoot a lot in your film career.
So many times.
I'm trying to think of something witty that you would be. As a stop sign post.
I get it because I'm skinny.
That's all I got.
Yeah, okay.
I apologize. But it's almost like I don't know what to be. Curtis and I had this conversation. I don't know what to be excited about when it comes to Justice League. I'm not one of those people. It's like, oh, I'm so excited to see them all together. Because I don't have that connection to the characters.
Right.
So when Avengers, I was like, holy crap! Thor, Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, Hawkeye, Black Widow, all on the screen together. I'm excited. This one, I'm kind of like, the Wonder Woman movie was good. It was great.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? It was great, except for the last 20 minutes.
Fantastic.
It was fantastic.
Did I hit that to
except
your
for
head?
the last 15 to 20 minutes you did.
Yes.
They were just completely unnecessary. And then I didn't, Batman vs Superman was just it was kind of a train wreck. It was like a train wreck that had no casualties. So it was it lost a lot of money,
okay.
And they had to repair the train and but at least no one died. That's as opposed to, like a train wreck that like had like a tanker and it exploded and it killed 50 people and destroyed a small town. Like
Would that have been Fantastic Four, that one?
yeah, that would have been that. But it also had a sewage cart on there that then like put out the fire with sewage.
That smells bad.
I want to be excited. I want to be excited just because when comic book movies do good, the whole industry does good. When comic books do good, when one publisher is doing well, everyone is doing well because there are more people in stores, there are more people buying. So even if Marvel is still 40% of the market and DC is 30% of the market, like if Marvel's doing well, people are going to buy DC because they're going to walk into a store and they're going to be like, "Oh, I love Batman." They're going to, it's if one's winning, we're all winning. So I want it to do well. I mean, even like the short runtime is kind of concerning to me. Like the fact that it's shorter than like Suicide Squad even was.
I think maybe they learned from Batman v Superman because that was 2.5 hours long. The extended is 3. And while I enjoyed it, and I'm rewatching it right now to get ready.
I think on your iPad right now.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what is happening right here. Hold on, this is my favorite. Even when I went and saw it in the theater. There were certain parts like this seems really kind of drawn out, and some of it was a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
And my wife will attest that when we walked out and she asked me, "What'd you think?" I said that it was everything I wanted in that movie. And in hindsight, it wasn't everything I wanted in that movie.
Yeah.
But I would there was the hype when I left. But there was still points that whilst I enjoyed it the first time and every time since then, there's certain things that just like dragged.
Right.
So maybe in this one, they're like, we don't want it to feel like it's dragging. We want it to be exciting and fun. So let's cut out some of the stuff that drags.
And then if it doesn't do well, they will just release
the
an
extended
yes.
Yes.
And then they'll be like, this one is 3 hours.
DC's come up with their formula.
Yeah, their formula is just terrible. Well, I mean, like I said, I want it. I want to enjoy it. The
soundtrack's good.
So here we had this conversation. We have that in the Crusader group text. It's how we communicate. It's actually a very intricate web of both carrier pigeons, rats with rubber bands around their bodies, and go figure, capuchin monkeys.
I only get the rats because I'm a deputy.
Exactly. Yeah, we just send like a disease-ridden rat out to Cameron Park or wherever you live now. So. Where was I going with this? In the group text, the pigeons and the monkeys and everything. We were talking. I am so incredibly over this trend of covering classic rock songs for movie trailers. The fact that like the New Mutants is using like the "We Don't Need No Education" like the Pink Floyd, but it's just like the creepy voices doing it, and I'm like, okay, now we got so the come together for Justice League. I'm over the trend. That song is still awesome because. We like Curtis and we bonded over Gary Clark Jr. He does an amazing job with it because he's an extremely talented guitarist, and the song is really cool. But just this whole trend of classic rock songs being used for trailers, I'm kind of over it. But Thor is not because it's Marvel and not I'm giving it a free pass, but it wasn't a cover of some classic rock song. They actually got the rights to Led Zeppelin, the Led Zeppelin song, which is not like it's unheard of. Like my wife was telling me like that doesn't happen. Like Led Zeppelin is like, no, they don't let you edit it. They don't let you use it. And I don't know what it was. Like Taika went in there and he's like, hey, man, like
maybe they're just huge Thor fans.
Maybe they're big New Zealand fans. I don't know. I don't know which one it is. Thor is probably more or just
New Zealand is cool.
Yeah, or maybe they finally need money. I don't know.
I doubt that's true.
So I'm over that, but that soundtrack so far I listened to the soundtrack a little bit. I think it was kind of cool.
Yeah. How do you feel about the weaving in of the '89 Batman theme and the Christopher Reeve Superman theme?
I love that. I think that as nods to the classic characters, I think that is extremely valuable, and I think that was really well done.
Yes. I had a thought on that.
Yes.
I feel like people don't like the new Superman because he's kind of like broody and stuff. Everybody wants the old Superman, and that could be the push to bring back a more bright, hopeful, and happy. Sure, happy Superman.
Yeah, that's as he comes out wearing black armor and everything because he's been dead.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his fault. That's how the Kryptonian thing works.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
I like Cavill as Superman. I like Cavill as Superman so much more than I like Affleck as Batman.
I will agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a friend of the show, Henry Cavill. I don't know if he's actually.
Is he? yeah, okay.
You know who's actually friend of the show? Scott
Who?
Snyder. He follows us on
Oh.
Twitter. So unrelated, actually no, totally related because Scott Snyder writes for DC. You know who else writes for DC now? Brian Michael Bendis. Hey,
Oh.
there's that ham-fisted segue.
Segue.
So Brian Michael Bendis, after a 17-year-long stint career, really, at Marvel Comics, he dropped 75 pounds, and then he also lost weight because he's moving over to DC. That 75 pounds were all the Marvel books that he was writing because he was writing a bunch of them.
Okay.
It was a stretch.
Yeah, he was writing like 5 or 6, right?
Yeah. He's been writing a lot of titles.
Jessica Jones,
Jessica
Invincible,
Jones,
Iron Man,
Defenders.
He Guardians of the Galaxy
was doing
for a
Guardians
while.
for a little while.
I'm missing one. Spider-Man. Miles Morales.
Yep.
Spider-Man.
He's been doing a ton. And so this is, a lot of people call this just a massive shakeup. Like, this is huge. This is like Brett Favre saying he's retiring and then going to the Vikings, which is a good point to bring up because I'm a Packers fan and Manderson
I'm a Vikings
is
fan.
a
And
Vikings
I still
fan.
don't like Brett Favre because he didn't win us that Super Bowl.
Well, he should have retired.
He
really should
You
have.
guys real close though.
Yeah, real
close.
close. I mean, you know, people call. Okay, how about this? Peyton Manning going from the Colts to the Broncos.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, because we don't care.
Yeah, we don't care.
So Brian Michael Bendis.
Joe Montana going to the Chiefs.
I forgot he did that.
That was way back.
That was
in
a
the day.
terrible move. So Bendis, first off, created Jessica Jones, created Miles Morales, and most recently created Riri Williams.
Who is my favorite Marvel character right now?
He has a thing for alliteration. Jessica Jones, Miles Morales, Riri Williams. So
We almost had it.
I think he got that from Stan Lee, though. Stan Lee is really, I mean, Peter Parker.
Yeah,
like, they're all.
Well, those like classic comic book names. A
Yeah,
lot of people
alliteration.
Like that, yeah.
So he's done a lot. He's basically been almost like the guiding force for Marvel for a really long time. And now he's heading across the pond of sorts and going to DC. So people are calling it the last nail in the Marvel coffin.
I didn't know there was a coffin being built.
Neither did I, which is
Okay.
why I don't agree with those people.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's one of those things. It's not. It's upsetting to me because I love Bendis and I love what he's been writing. So it's not that I'm unhappy that he's leaving because he's got a multi-year, multifaceted contract. That's what it's being described as. So that means stability. That means job security. That means good money. That means creative control, which is totally awesome. I'm totally for that. It just bums me out because the stuff he's done at Marvel it's been great. It's been some of my favorite stuff. Like, I'm one of those people, I really appreciate what Bendis does. It's not always perfect. I mean, no writer is ever perfect 100% of the time. Like, I love Alan Moore, but the dude is a creepy, enigmatic wizard who, uses abuse in too many of his stories. But his Swamp Thing is just...
It's real good.
It's
Thanks again for tuning me into that one.
I got you, man. I got you. So...
Speaking of which,
Yeah, there he is. So I'm okay with it in that it's gonna be cool to see what he could do. Like, he could. I mean, there's so many characters right now. But DC has this renaissance right now where they're bringing back a lot of characters, and it's like, I'm not saying Mr. Miracle was gone, but Mr. Miracle under Tom King.
Oh, I need to pick that back up. Thanks for reminding me.
Dude, I was just talking to Ben. There are more DC comics in my box right now than there have ever been in the 13 years that I've been shopping here. Like, I have never had this many DC books in there right now. And part of it is because Metal has 1 billion titles, which is,
Yeah, that'll help.
but they're doing a lot of good things. They're doing a lot of great things right now. And Bendis, I think he'll do well. Like I said, I'm sad to see his titles at Marvel, get passed on, but Marvel is also has a ton of young talent right now. Like, they have so many good young writers right now at Marvel. Jason Aaron, like, heading it all up. Like, Chip Zdarsky is at Marvel. Like, you got Zdarsky. Zdarsky's so much fun. Everything he does is just, everything he touches turns into weird, just poop-shaped gold. Like, it's like that's what he does.
Is it smiling?
It is smiling away and making money. So I'm okay with it because I don't think Marvel is done in any way, shape, or form.
Nah, I don't think so. I think it'll be good for. I think it'll be good for everybody, really.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, when one does well, the other does well. And with DC trying to bring back a lot of stuff and even push stuff forward, something that I've enjoyed that Bendis has done with Marvel is he has these younger characters that are maybe for a little while taking over the mantle of somebody, but then they end up coming in and supporting or even having their own title, because there's 2 Spider-Mans, presumably there'll be an Ironheart and an Iron Man. I really hope that happens, and they don't get rid of Riri Williams. If you get rid of Riri Williams, Marvel, I will stop reading all the Marvel, except for probably Squirrel Girl. So don't do that. But I think bringing something like that to DC is good. And what I like about what it did and what he did is that it didn't get rid of Tony Stark. It didn't get rid of Peter Parker. It just created these other characters that add to the mythos and add to the story and give like a younger voice, because they're all younger characters.
Oh, yeah.
And you can reboot Spider-Man over and over again. He's 17 and he like has to age or whatever. You don't have to age in comics, I guess. But having like Peter Parker be established and then have Miles Morales come along and be that younger voice, doing something like that on the DC side, I think would be a lot of fun. I would probably drop some of the stuff that I'm reading that's more established to pick something new up that he did that fills a younger voice and mantle, but still feels like maybe even a similar power set or a similar characteristic on the DC side.
See, I think there's a book that I've never read. I've never actually picked any up, and I've never gotten the appeal. I have a ton of it in my collection because it was gifted to me. I've never actually looked at it. Is the Legion of Superheroes. It's not even that I'm not a fan. I've just never actually given it a chance. But that seems to me like something that Bendis could take, just because I just like going through like because you can go through a Wikipedia and you can become an expert. So I know a lot about Legion of Superheroes. I just haven't actually read Legion of Superheroes. I think like that could be something he could step into. And it's just that would be the ultimate playground for him, and he could do amazing things. Like a lot of people's issues with Bendis, guys like Bendis, there are a couple of them still at Marvel, are that they bring that, as people say, they bring diversity for diversity's sake, which I think is a crap argument, but that's people's issue.
Okay,
I think it's a crap argument, but. Yeah. It's funny because now everyone's like, Bendis is going to DC. Yeah, Bendis is going to DC. And it's like, you're the ones who complained that he had like Iron Man die and then be replaced by a young black girl. And they're like, oh, just shoehorning in this, these other types of people. Like, what are we doing? And now you're going to go over to DC. And it's like, what if he just all of a sudden is like, yeah, Batgirl. Let's see. She's Chinese. She's gay. She's 13. And they're going to be like, what? What is he doing? And I'm like, that's what like Bendis, he gives tons of voices, not just like young. He gives, I mean, and it's, sometimes it's not his place to give those voices, but he does create these characters and then opens up something that someone else can step into and then bring a completely diverse idea and view to comics. And I think that's a good thing. I think DC is due for that because DC is doing so well right now. They could take the hit of a couple of fanboys being like, I don't want this, social justice warrior writing my comic books, and they could leave, and DC would be like, okay, we're still good because like Metal and White Knight and Doomsday Clock and everything's going, so they could take that hit, just like Marvel was able to take that hit, and Marvel takes that hit all the time. They still have the lion's share of the market. But they know that they can do that. They can take risks and they can go for it. And guys like Bendis are the dudes that like to take those risks. So I think it's good. I think it's great for DC. I think it opens up a void in Marvel that can just be backfilled with so much young talent. I don't see how it's a negative in any way.
Yeah, I can't see any negatives either.
And like I said, I'm like Legion of Superheroes. Like Bendis. You've read Bendis. Are there any characters that you really want to see him take on? Like there's polls online. There's like who Snyder and who Capullo are going to take next.
Yeah.
Who Tom King is going to take next, which I'm down with all of those. But Bendis, Brian Michael Bendis, the man who created Jessica Jones, Riri Williams, Miles Morales, if he stepped into the DC, when he steps into the DC universe.
Take over a specific title. Character or team, who would you want to see him take over? That's a great question. I did read some of the rumors on maybe him doing Legion of Superheroes. Okay, yeah. I also have peripherally encountered them, and I'm not super knowledgeable there. I think it would be fun to see him maybe jump into again. Going with I don't know why I think he's good at younger voices, but doing like Teen Titans or Titans or something like that would be really good. Maybe jumping into. I would love to see him take over an established team like that. Even the Justice League, because you can mess with teams and it's still the team, and create a new character that comes in and rounds out those teams, because that's what he's been good at, is taking established stuff, creating a new character, and having it augment and even improve upon everything that's there. I don't think that he would do that with Justice League, because I don't think they'll let him. Like, Justice League is just too big. But I can see him doing Teen Titans or the Titans and doing something like that. And then, I think it would. The Legion of Superheroes hasn't been touched in a while. And if I recall correctly, there's a lot of time travel because they're from the 31st century.
Yeah.
So there's even more you could do with that by bringing in characters from different time periods, because if they can time travel, then why not?
I have two that I know, besides Legion of Superheroes, that I know he would do great and that I want to see, partially because I think he would do them well, partially because I miss those characters. And one of them is Martian Manhunter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what when I said Justice League, he popped into my head.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter has been gone for a while. I think he'd be a great addition. I think Bendis could handle him very well. And then in that time, I completely forgot who the second character that I thought of was going to be. So now I'm stretching out my words, sounding like this.
Is he another green guy?
No. Not a Green Lantern.
I was thinking Swamp Thing, but...
Not Swamp Thing. No. I want... Tom King's doing the winter special. Have you heard about this?
Nope.
Oh, man.
Other news.
Tom King, who's just amazing right now. He's writing Batman. He wrote Vision. He wrote Sheriffs of Babylon. He's so good. He's doing the Swamp Thing Winter Special, which is a one-shot. It's written by Tom King, drawn by Jason Fabok, who's just an insanely talented young artist. And it's just a one-shot story about Swamp Thing. He's in like the frozen tundra. He's disconnected from the green, and he's trying to save this kid. And they're being chased by like a Yeti-like monster. And then the other part of it is Len Wein, who is the creator of Swamp Thing, was due to come back. He was going to start writing for DC again. He was going to start writing Swamp Thing again. And then unfortunately last year he passed away. Yeah. No, this year he passed away. So they're publishing his story. Okay. The first one. The series was not finished, but they're publishing the first one. So I'd be down. I want like Snyder and Capullo to take over Swamp Thing though. I'd be totally okay with that. Still can't remember who the character was that I was
tried to
thinking
give
of.
you time. I'm sorry.
Well, then I started talking.
Oh shoot!
So I'm just going.
I should have talked.
Who was it? No, I wasn't. I think he'd be okay he'd be cool on Super Sons. I think he'd be good.
Yeah.
In Super Sons, and Martian Manhunter, and I can't remember the other one that I was thinking of. Do you have any other that you think? Come up with something so
because
I can think.
I was thinking of how he likes to do diverse things and kind of shake things up. Something that could potentially not anger a lot of people, but still cause that would be pulling in the Robin from the Dark Knight Returns. Like make that part of
yeah.
Because that's already an established female character that people will be like, oh yeah, that's maybe it's not canon, but it's somebody that we already know. I can't remember her name right now.
Yeah,
but
I'm trying to not think of her name because I'm still trying to think of that.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it would be. That would be a safe way to enter, and not that he needs to be safe in this. It's Bendis, but it would be a good place to go. I would like to see that character more because she was a lot of fun in those stories. Gave Bruce a lot of back talk, which he needs sometimes. I'm done talking.
Yeah, man, I cannot remember who the second character was that I was thinking. I can't remember.
When he remembers, he will post it to the Twitter.
I'll put it on the Twitter,
and then I will retweet it. Retweet it.
Retweet it.
I'll make sure it's only 140 characters.
Where you would be able to find all of that
on the capelesscrusaders.com.
At thecapelesscrusaders.com, your number one hub for anything related to the Capeless Crusaders, because that is about going to wrap it up for this week. Because that's the news. That's the news, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. I was trying to think of like a classic, like newsy guy, but I don't. Good night and good luck. Anyway, my name.
Stay classy, Sacramento.
Yeah, is David Barry at Dr. Barry on varying social media platforms. Not joining us this evening for varying reasons. Steve's at a birthday party. It's Amy's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Amy, IJNU Robot. And Piper had some emergency dental surgery that he then streamed right afterwards and re-aggravated.
Not a smart move.
So Piper is, if he's
can't
watching
talk
right
right
now,
now.
he's high out of his brain.
Hi, we're on the medias.
On the medias. Joining me, who might be a more familiar face more often these days,
Oh.
we have our junior deputy.
Okay, the junior's back.
Junior deputy Cheeseburger.
Well, the Batfleck might think that the Age of Heroes needs to come again, but I say that it is always here thanks to our veterans. Happy Veterans Day. My name is Manderson, at this Manderson on the Twitter.
That was creative.
Thank you. I tried to top last time. I figured that was probably
Dude,
right on.
last time, go back and if you have a minute, go back and watch the episode.
At least the last
episode he was
watch
on.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
until we
but
get
the
to
last 5 minutes were hysterical.
Yeah.
Anyway, for the Capeless Crusaders, good night.